We're going to do a short little thingy thing, and then we're going to do a thingy thing. And we are probably going to do some channeling. We're going to tap into the collective messages because we do want to start working on our clairs. We're going to talk more about healing today. Healing, alignment, how we do it, what do we do, how do we do it, how do you know, all those kind of things, right? Because everything's energy. Where you sit with here and how you project and emulate will receive it. So we want to make sure, and I have been my own best lesson for the learning experiences. So we're super happy about that. Newer star, we are one. Newer star, life has begun. Has it been practicing our song? We're gonna sing it probably. This weekend I hope to sing it. I'm gonna practice it quite a bit, and gonna practice it in different pitches and stuff because I've been practicing with my voice. And so I'm gonna try different uploads, and then I'm just gonna have it uploaded in the Ascension playlist. Right. And then you can just choose whatever one you want to listen to. Okay? Because I like to have choice, right? Choice. And then you record it, right? You record it, and then you listen to it all by yourself. So we're going to talk about, I did have a few notes that I didn't mark down from the channel from the Light Zetas. So again, my name is Celeste, aka Joanna. I prefer Celeste though, until all of the legal stuff gets sorted out from all the people that have stolen from me and all the people that thought it was really great to take all my work and call it theirs and, pretend that they were me and do all the loans and the camouflaging frauds and defamations and exploitations and harassments, all that fun stuff that these people did to test God and to test creation and to test me. It was such a wonderful ride. So I have a lot of fixing and clearing to do of the financial stuff that has gone on, that I'm going to be finding out how much of a mess it is, how much of a mess these people made. Had so much fun using my name. And so that just keeps a reminder for all of you, as well as because we know that I think when I was in talking to the bank a little while ago, that the online frauds and things like that are on the climb. It's easier for people that have that are intelligent, have nothing better to do than steal and take, as opposed to earning their own way through life. It's a lot easier for them to do the frauds and doing the online scams. So it's good to check your finances every couple of months, just to make sure that your banking and your business and your names and all of the things that are under your name, and just have a thorough check every 3 months. Make sure you're doing your full thorough of your bank accounts and checking the numbers and the debits and the credits, and just making sure that all of that is copacetic and in your full awareness. And then, go over, if you do have a business, we do have 5D vocational alignment sessions. For those of you that are business for self or do have businesses that you want to move into alignment of 5D, I do have those sessions, and there are 4 sessions at 45 minutes. I haven't had a session yet that's gone 45 minutes. They've gone more to an hour. And we do, there's 4 sessions because we work on each separate part of the energy field, the multidimensional fields, so that you get used to how to work with each of the fields, and you get used to how that culminates in your gifts and skills and talents, and how to work with it through your maintenance and your sustenance, how you're calling in and using your light, how you're manifesting with your light, how you're maintaining and sustaining the light. And so that's why we do have those 4 sessions. And plus, there's a lot of questions that come up, and there's healing that I give a little homework so that you're doing the healing and the clearing, and then in the next session, usually 2 weeks later, the next session we follow up on your homework. We talk about the healing and clearing so that you can see the progression. I also have had clients that in my past too, which I haven't marked down and noted, those that do wish Ascension sessions and want to do more of a longer term guidance, so once a week, and we just have shorter discussions, an hour, 45 minutes discussions, and then we just touch on where you're at. We do clearing and healing, and then we talk about any issues, psychological issues, psyche issues, and things like that. And so I have had clients that have had those sessions with me. We talk about Ascension, we talk about energy, we talk about the Akash, all of those things, celestials, your experiences, anything you have questions about. So I have had clients that have been with me on a regular basis that do come to me for once a month sessions or once every other week. depending on when they want a session and when they want to catch up and they have questions to ask about things they've been experiencing multidimensionally. Because again, when your gifts do turn on, when your third eye turns on, when all of the gifts and skills in your fields turn on, it's like you're living in a whole different reality, because you are, because you're living from that higher sensorial experience. And there's a lot of things that do come up, because we're, as we said, we're going to be moving into understanding and living in your reality in sensorial ways. It's not going to be that logical, if you will. We're not going to be using the 3D monkey mind. We're going to be aligning with the higher self, surrendering all that we can to the higher self every day, and then living as a sensorial experience, a sensorial being. And there's a lot more questions that we have, I had this really great experience. Can you kind of walk me through that? And so all of these do provoke, and they incite, and they really empower and really spark creative exploration, new ways for you to empower your creativity, new ways for you to sense energy and to feel energy, and then to discern it, and then bring it forward for an expression. Those are going to always be the keys. So this is why I come on as often as I can, because the ascension path, as we're moving forward into higher refined light, more purified, rarefied source light, it's going to be affecting us in deeper, richer ways, through which, again, we're going back to Commander Ashtar's, note and inspiration to us to really learn greater aptitude and capacity, because the energies will quicken, which means that we've got to sort through a lot of information much more quickly. What does that information mean for us, and how does it feel? How are you feeling within the information that you've gained? Does it feel right for you? And you can really move through life like this. How is this feeling for me? How does this feel as far as a movement on my path? And this is why knowing thyself, working with your daily ascension blueprint, your soul's blueprint. What is your blueprint? And then working with your blueprint every day. I work with my blueprint every day. I talk with my guides every day. And then if there's something coming up that I'm curious about, or there's a concern about, or there's a question about, I'm not understanding how this is going to connect with this and this and this, because there will be times where your teams will guide you on things that might not seemingly appear to connect, but that you need that experience. Sometimes in the infinite ways that your soul's blueprints are organized, sometimes you're led down these detours just for merely having fun and love and connecting with beings you would have not normally have connected with, because you've been, especially people like myself, because we're so caught up in, the workhorse energy. Everything I do is about my work and my energy and my devotion to society, my devotion to Gaia, my devotion to energy, my devotion to Mother, Father, God, and the divine plan. I'm constantly talking with Celeste, constantly talking with Gaia, constantly talking with energy. So it's a 24/7 thing. So sometimes they'll take me on a detour so that I just have to slow down and shut down for a while. And then there's those detours where you go back and you have to learn another soul's lesson. You're going to be mixing with those people that will challenge you and that will provoke you to see if you can stand in your power for greater roles of responsibility, for, like Commander Ashtar, greater roles of leadership, greater roles of not allowing any of the outer to bother you or fetter you, if you will. And it doesn't matter how many people have a certain energy or, aversion for you, or aversion for what you're saying, because change is always shaking up the grounds and the foundations of what many don't want to look at. And it will create aversions. It will create aversions because their triggers are not wanting to be dealt with. And they're ready to be dealt with, because if you're getting triggered, it's ready for you to heal it. It's ready for you to move through it and excavate it and navigate through those energies and issues. But there will be those that will fight it, because it's much easier for them living in the illusions, living in the delusions, and living in the pain and the less than no sense of self. Because when you have to start defining your sense of self, you're reclaiming that responsibility. And a lot of people, because they've never been given that responsibility of sense of self, it's been taken from them because they've been brought up in such staunch, rigid, restricted, dogmatic experiences where their sense of self has been stripped from them, their creative self has been stripped from them, and they haven't had the attention and the light and the love, which is a lot of what narcissism is about. There's going to be a lot of research down the road on narcissism and how it relates to, really staunch experiences of how you've been suppressed and depressed and deconstructed through dogmatic experiences, social structures of church and state. And it's all played a part on how we express ourselves, and how have we learned and gone within to redefine ourselves and redesign ourselves as a pure, genuine, authentic sense of self, which is what everybody's meant to be doing on this path of ascension. Self-actualization is just about you and source. It's about you reactualizing who you are through all the soul fragments, through all the soul wounding. What did you learn about that? Reclaim your power, reclaim your sense of choice, reclaim your sense of identity, reclaim your sense of creativity. All of those soul fragments equal up to the divine feminine masculine energies and explorations and expressions, your full expression of who you are as a divine creative soul at the full oneness experience. And those soul fragments help equal up that full sense of self. So that's why you do have the divine masculine and feminine energies that will be equal in what experiences that you went through and why did you choose certain things. Were you distorting your divine feminine energy? Were you distorting your divine masculine energy? Were you suppressing the divine feminine energy within you? Were you expressing how you can create and explore yourself and express yourself in the divine creative energy? All of those things must be looked at. And then they're meant to be brought forward and say, I can express these energies in a balanced way now so that I'm not harming anybody, and I'm still moving in my ascension path, being a fully harmonized being, an integrated being. When you do so, then you start opening up your soul's telepathic, psychic, celestial, alien, multiverse, universal gifts, skills, and talents. That's when you become more of your unique, authentic self. And so part of the question that Commander Ashtar wanted me to move on today is, we're going to be talking more and more about healing, clearing and cleansing and grounding, how that's so important, because if you're not centered and you're not grounding yourself with these increased flux of energies, then it's going to seem very chaotic and you're going to seem as if you can bounce around a lot, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. You just have to take greater commandment of your energy. Call your energy back. Call your energy, especially if you're working or you're coming away from working with groups and covens and cults and, group entity types of things. And it takes mastery to do so, and you must do it in a very committed and a very resilient manner so that you're devoting that energy to yourself. It is really important. If you're working in groups and clusters all the time, you're taking on a lot of others' energies that you have not been taught or practiced on how to clear and cleanse. What energy is yours, what is not yours, what voices are yours, what voices are not yours, what is the collective imprints and what is the social group imprints. All of those things play and they make up who you are. But if you're not understanding, if you don't have a pure sense of self, all of these little imprints and all of these notions and all of these mind, these mind projections and energy projections or spell works, anything being thrown at you from the outer, it gets enmeshed in your field. And that's why those of us that read energy, we can see if energy is dirty, how dirty energy is, if it's very dark and dense because they're not clearing it, our chakras are not aligned. It can feel very chaotic and very off step. That's how a healer feels those types of energies. And that person in and of themselves is just scrambling, looking for a sense of self. And sometimes they do take on other people's that they admire sense of self. If somebody is famous or somebody is in the limelight, these people look to as if they're little ducks looking to mimic their mother duck. They look to those that they want to emulate and they mimic them, and then they start copying them, and they start copying their mannerisms, they start copying their intellect, or they start copying their verbiage or how they say certain things. So all of these things are just ways in which the wounded psyche is not knowing of thyself, is not practicing of thyself, and are not standing fully in who they are. And so that means that the sense of self and the soul aspect, the soul fragment of self, must be brought in and integrated. The soul fragment is so important for you to bring back to the wholeness of you so that you're not twisted and moving about in chaotic ways. It's going to be very, very important that you work with whatever comes up in soul fragments, whatever comes up in your triggers. Your triggers are the way to see what part of you is wounded, what part of you is needing that integration back to self again, what parts of you are needing to be reharmonized back into the purity of who you are as a divine sacred soul. And then understand that there will be the divine feminine energies that you just have to sit back and receive. You'll have to sit back and just feel into your intuition. Every day, you should be using your divine feminine energies. Anything that you use with your intuition is a divine feminine energy. So when you have your celestial gifts and skills and talents, they will be mostly activating that divine feminine energy. And this is why many people, as we've been moving through Ascension, why many of the suppressed underground groups were starting to take place, because there were so many divine masculines from what they've been brought up in, misguidance and misinformation, mistruths about the divine masculines and what they should be and what they can be, and what does true power mean and what does true dominance mean, and all of the things that were distorted divine masculine energies and belief systems and dogmatic and social structure systems. We all know that divine masculines have to truly look at themselves and come back into a more balanced arena of who are they within creation, what really is going on within them, and what are they within all creation. Come back to a harmonious experience, because divine masculines have a lot of healing to do based on the 5,000 years that they've been creating these social systems that are broken and not working, and have left them their completely sexual energies and sexual suppressions left in the underground because they didn't feel safe in expressing and exploring all of those things that need to actually be expressed and explored. But doing it in a safe way so that you're not hurting anyone. Doing it in a mature, responsible way so that you're not bringing anybody and culling anybody into your mess and your web of lies or deceit because you're not ready to face who you are sexually or in your preferences. And so there's many things that everybody has to work at, and they've contracted in their soul's contract to actually work through these issues, because they're going to be a voice for others. They're going to be that voice of, yeah, I had that and I worked through it. And this is why the LGBTQT plus, and I think there's more initials, so please forgive me. Those energies and those experiences of those that will be experts in the fields of talking about the soul healing, the psyche healing, and the LGBT community all together in its encompassment. They have a very fluidic energy in the trans community we've talked about, which will be very expansive in our understanding and higher intellect understanding of energy moving through the exional lines. And the lines, there's thousands of them, and how energy moves through the body just as the Kundalini does. And it really changes us as a person. It changes us as how we outlook in creation. And many of these beings have been brought forward, as we've talked about in our other videos about trans, 5D trans understanding, 5D trans believing and living in a more balanced state and having it released from judgment and released from the preoccupation of gender and sexual preference being one and the same, and they're not. They're absolutely ways that we explore who we are as the soul of who we are in the divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, and then how that soul progresses in their path of ascension, how they progress through every path of ascension, because you're going to be going up the Jacob's ladder. Every ascension cycle is going to be giving you different energies and different experiences and different knowledges. If you're not integrating, then you're only going to be jumping and skipping and feeling very chaotic and leaving a lot of things out. Ascension path is culminating and integrating everything you learn along the way, so that you are that beautiful dodecahedron that is fully crystallized and fully illuminated on every soul fractal. There's not going to be any shady parts. You want to look at every facet of that dodecahedron that you are now crystallizing and making now illuminated through the Christed light. And that is through the crystalline light, through the crystalline bodies, through your crystalline fields, through your crystalline DNA, through your working with light and having an alliance with light, a relationship with light, which is everything that we've taught from our very first show. But we need to bring these things into higher divine intelligence, 5D intelligence, so that we're not having anyone feel left out. We're actually bringing a higher understanding, because a lot of that community has very complex feelings, but how they're being projected in the social societies are quite different. How they're being supported with no aid and no understanding of higher divine intelligence, of no higher divine intellect of these topics. They're feeling very left out with no voice. And so it's very important that as we move in our intelligence and as we move in our evolution of such beautiful, profound, complex issues of how humanity is healing past its very deep, suppressive sexual understandings, and what the sexual identity is, and what gender preferencing is, and what the ideologies of trans is, and can we look at it from an energy point of experience, because everything is energy. So how we move through the cycle of ascension in various energy pockets, everybody will be exploring their divine feminine energy, their divine masculine energies. This is why we have to do path work. If you're doing path work, you can then start journaling your explorations. I went through a profound divine feminine activation last week, and I went through this experience and this experience. I really sat with it. I really cultivated that love for self, and I really cultivated what divine feminine really felt like in that moment. I saw somebody be abused, and I went in and I did some of that excavation. I went through and I said, well, how am I feeling in this? What's going on in this emotion? And then start feeling and navigating those experiences. You can do a lot of healing in that and find out where your gifts and skills are. Because many of you that are in this ascension process, as most of you will, that's why we have to do ascension path work, that's why we evolve. Because in that journey of that ascension pathway all the way up to 5D, you're going to find that, wow, I really have this gift. I have this gift for, orating. I have this gift for coming forward and helping people understand, highly complex issues. I have this understanding of many beautiful things that I can bring to the forefront just through my experiences of what I've healed and what I've gone through, and how I can see things from different perspectives, how I can see things from an infinite number of perspectives, and I can show people how to do it as well. So these are things that you only learn in doing the path work. When I started back years and years and years, 17 years ago or so, I started having these profound experiences, and the only way I could make sense of it was meditating in the morning and then writing in my journal. And then many times I would just start drawing. I would start drawing what I would see in my third eye. And of course, I didn't do a lot of research. I hadn't known a lot about the third eye or any of the chakras, really. I'd heard about them, but I didn't have any understanding. I just felt a lot going on in my body. I felt my body starting to vibrate. I could feel my chakras spinning. I could feel all of these things. And because Nobody talks about these things. I didn't know if this was normal, if it was not normal, what was going on with me. And there wasn't a lot out there. And that's why I chose to write my books. I chose to write them because of my experiences. It's what I feel as a starseed. It's what I feel as a conduit and how I feel the energies that I do. And how do I move through certain things and then bring healing about and bring balance and in my unique way, because that's what we're here to do. And that's what I've inspired everybody to do. In your ascension pathwork and in your ascension becoming and in your ascension re-becoming, because you're remembering and recombining yourself back into a higher vibrational being, you're discerning and you're learning and you're designing yourself into a whole new different fractal of God, the representation of God, your representation of the heavens. And so in that, you get to decide, well, these gifts, I really want to practice this. Your teams will be very happy to say, can I really work on my mediumship gifts? Can we do 6 months of just mediumship? So I really want to get to explore it. I perhaps might want to write, maybe I can write a column about it. Maybe I can do this, but write down a whole bunch of ideas that you can do in your infinity, and you can write down a whole bunch of inspired actions of what you can do with your new gifts and skills. And this is how I teach you and I offer in my Ascension classes. I teach you how to work with your new version of self. I teach you how to inspire those and take further the gifts, skills, and talents. How do we heal? How do we transcend density? How do we transcend trauma? How do we transcend, what does the dark night of the soul really look like and feel like? And how do I get through it? And what do I do? What do I do next? So all of these things is what I've written about in my books. It's what I focus on every one of my videos. So that's why those that have been with me forever, they continually move with me in the path, because as my energy ascends and as the planet's energies ascends, as the collective energy ascends, we're all moving through different energy vocations. We're moving through different energy offerings from Source. As our planet is offered different energy light from the omnipresent, Source is increasing its rarefied vibration because Source is Source. Everybody in the collective that awakens adds a different vibration into our collective energy. We can read the collective differently, those of us that read energy, that are psychics, that are conduits, as Source for Source, because we are the voice and we are the conduit for Source eyes, Source ears. We have those abilities to read different types of energy. Our collective energy is changing every minute. And therefore, thus then, it offers us a different representation of what we're able to manifest with. So our manifestation potentials and possibilities are getting different and more enhanced every day. However, if you're not doing the healing, you're still only going to manifest from that wounded space, because you're still carrying jealousy or envy or greed or gluttony or selfishness, and you're carrying a low vibrational sense of self that's not you. You cannot manifest things that are great for you, and you cannot manifest what's really meant in your blueprint, what's really meant in your soul's blueprint if you're trying to be somebody else. If you hide half of who you are, if you hide all of who you are, if you live in nothing but lies and defamation of yourself and defamation of your soul's character. And that's why the LGBTQT communities are so important for their voices to come forward as they have a greater soul understanding. It's really important. Hello, and thank you for joining us. Those of you that have the voices, like for me and the trans community, having an understanding from a 5D perspective and starting to redefine it so that it's not feeling confusing. You're not feeling as if you're put in boxes that don't fit for you. Same with autism. You're feeling as if you have a bit more freedom and leeway to really be and more of a full version of who you want to flow as in any moment of the cycle of ascension. It is all based on your cycle of ascension, what you have to learn and move through and accept yourself in as of spirit. You're being offered energy, you're being offered remembrances, you're being offered visions, you're being offered, those pulsations of what you attract back in your reality, and it's all for you. Everything is for you. But if you're not looking at you because you're so focused on other people, you're so focused on trying to be like other people, you're so focused on harvesting from other people and siphoning from other people or copying from other people because other people seem to have it and you don't, then you're missing the whole point of your soul's exploration. You're never going to move ahead. You're never going to get to 5D by looking at other people's lives. You're never going to get to 5D by sacrificing and doing what has been done in the dark occult practices. You will never move into 5D doing those experiences. They are entropy practices. We've talked about that in many of our videos the past 3 years. You can only move through to 5D if you are doing your ascension path work and you are opening up and you are integrating the aspects of self that need to be looked at. In the cycle of ascension, everything is now. There is no past. It seems like it's past because a memory is coming up in this now moment because the energies and where you're at to heal it and to bring it into integration, your higher self is activating. It's time now. That's why you get triggered. Your higher self triggers you to say it's time to deal with this. And if you don't listen to spirit and if you don't heed spirit by the angels like myself that are placed before you that say it's time to face this, And if you don't face this, we come forward with more predictions that say you might not want to keep doing what you're doing because there's going to be more towers. There's going to be more, not things that benefit you, but you can keep going if you want. It's always free will. But we're telling you, you're not going to go down a very nice path if you keep going that way. So then the spirit just lets things unfold because it is free will. You're going to show yourself one way or another. You have to face what you're not facing. Until you integrate it, it will keep coming in your reality. So again, who are you? And if you're not being exactly who you are authentically, genuinely, and every day and every moment as much as you can, and often as you can, doing the 3 E's and 3 A's, if you're not practicing this, it will show back in your reality every way. And it will keep facing you, and it will keep coming back as a tower. It will keep knocking you on the head. It will keep knocking you at experiences until you get it, until you pull it out and say, I'm not really being myself. I'm trying to be like other people because I want to be accepted. I don't have a sense of self. I need to be nourished. I'm not being loved. Who can I be loved like? All of those questions are no sense of self, wishy-washy, not understanding who you are, not loving who you are. But you're given a chance in every moment to excavate it and get to know who you are and redesign it. Because the holographic reality will keep showing you everything you're denying, you're withholding, you're refusing to look at. It will keep showing you until you face it all. Because it's you. And why you can't judge anybody. It's all you. The people that you judge and sacrifice are all you. And again, we've said in many of our videos, because we're, again, the windows and the experiences in our reality are shifting. Commander Ashtar wanted me to talk about shifting realities and how do we go about shifting. So Commander Ashtar said that when in the stuff that we've been talking about in pulling out the shadow government experiences and understanding the shadow government, how they were created, how did we manifest, how do we co-create the shadow government, how do we co-create the cults and covens and Masonic experiences that are all distorted, they're not dealing with aspects of their divine feminine or the divine masculine energies. Hello everybody, thank you for joining. So all of those energies that you're not facing in your divine feminine, your divine masculine energies as a soul, and if you're not facing it, you're not integrating it, you're just going about life willy-nilly, and you don't have a discernible path where you're sitting down every day and you're looking at who you are. You're looking at the issues you're moving through. You're looking at the issues that you're falling short on as far as not accepting of yourself and giving compassion and love to yourself. All that you need is you and Source. And this is where I've moved through everything I've moved through only because of Source. My Alliance with Light, which is the name of my 4th book, the Alliance with Light is all that you need in everything, in all ways, across all of your universal experiences. Doesn't matter what dimension you're on, it's always about you and Source, your alliance with light. If you don't have an alliance with light, and all you do is have an alliance with dark, through the dark practices or the dark practices or praying unto deities to bring you this and to bring you that and to make you more powerful and to do this and do that, you're still not dealing with the core issue. So then again, your holographic reality is still going to keep showing you on your path of ascension, your cycles of ascension. Your cycles of ascension is how are you moving in the navigation of understanding, discerning, deciphering, exploring, expressing, experiencing you. Are you experiencing yourself as a full, authentic godliness? Are you experiencing yourself as a full, authentic godliness? Are you expressing yourself as a full, authentic godliness? This is why you're here. It is a spiritual experience. This is the only reason why you're here. And again, you have to look at, if that triggers you, what part of that is triggering me? What part of social reality and what part of social dogmatic reality, what part of my lineage, what part of my akasha, what part of all of these things are saying that, no, I'm here to have a 9-to-5 job. I'm here to do this, I'm here to do that. Well, if that adds to your spiritual experience, then sure, yeah, have a 9-to-5 job. But many people, as they go into a spiritual experience, they see themselves more as spiritual. They're saying, no, I'm going to quit my 9-to-5 job. It's not who I am anymore. They're fine because it's not fulfilling. If your soul is not being nourished, if your spirit is not being nourished, look at why you're doing what you're doing and why. Why are you still doing it? If the people you are around are doing nothing but harming you and taking from you, harvesting from you, lying to you, defaming you, bringing all of these troubles and traumas and dramas to you, why are you still with them? Why are you still allowing them in your energy? So then you have to learn a profound sense of self that most of us that are going to be in the public have had to learn at a very early age, which nobody taught us, because there was no talk about this kind of stuff when I was younger. Nobody understood energy. Nobody talked about it. If you could predict things, you were seen as strange and odd and weird. All you're doing is just reading energy. I know how to do it. I've been around a few times and I was a bit more advanced than most people around me because they were stuck in their traumas and dysfunction. They were stuck in arguing and fighting not owning who they were as divine beings. And I would talk with them as a young kid, and I would say, why don't you just be who you are? Why are you so concerned about what other people think about you? And I would have these very complex conversations that I thought was just normal and natural. And the parents were still finding their way around dysfunctional experiences in reality because they weren't honest with who they were. They weren't living in their authentic truth. Because they were never taught and told. And of course, there was no discussion about energy because it was much denser back then, but now it's become more refined. Everybody is feeling energy now. Everybody is feeling the effects of return karma. Everybody's feeling the effects of, well, wow, if I do spell work on somebody, I'm really going to get that back in the next day or two, and it's really going to hit me hard, so really, do I really want to do this spell work? Everybody is feeling the return of karma. Everybody is understanding that we are in a vibrational reality, what you exist within. We are in the vibrational reality of the dodecahedron, which is all creation. Again, the holographic reality, micro, macro. You are a divine micro, macro representation of Mother, Father, God, Source, Creator. God. Creator. Source. Every planet has in which its own soul's blueprint. Gaia has her soul's blueprint. She has an ascension blueprint. It is directly related to each and every one of our soul blueprints. Every human on this planet has a divine, sacred soul blueprint that was designed at the highest level of our dimensions, 13. All of your highest guides and your higher self and your oversoul and your oversoul and your oversoul and your oversoul, all your guides and all your ancestors with God chose through God and the divine plan, because only God knows God's divine plan. God only knows where you're going to be in the year 2027. All of these things are discerned and deciphered and designed because God knows your soul. God knows what will bring you the highest happiness. God knows what will bring your highest level of excitement and exploration. Only God knows this. Only God knows where you have always been. God knows the journeys you've been on. God knows the densities you've taken on. God knows the things you've done for different councils. God knows the number of people that you've been in deaths and traumas with and destructions with. God knows how good of a creator you are. God knows your likes and your dislikes. God knows how great of you want to explore crystals this time. You want to explore levitating this time. God knows all of these things because God is you in the higher aspect, the highest aspect. That's source. The highest that anything could be, that's source. That's God. It's you. So just surrender and allow God to play more of a part in your life. Have that relationship and harmony and alignment with Source Creator. That's what alignment is. What does alignment equal? What is alignment? When I talk about alignment, what is it? Are you in alignment? What does that mean? And those of you that are on the path of ascension, those of you that are on the path of self-awakening, those of you that care about your soul's progression, what does alignment mean? Practice it. Do your path work. What does alignment mean? Are you aligned for 5D? What does that mean? Are you aligned with your higher self? What does that mean? Are you aligned with love? What does that mean? What does alignment mean? Alignment means, are you in connection with? Are you in relationship with? That's what alignment means, connection and relationship. If you do not have connection with spirit, if you do not have a relationship with spirit, then there will be no alignment. And that's how you know those that are on the path of consciousness and consciousness awareness and consciousness awakenedness and consciousness enlightenment. Self-actualization, the light body activation is through alignment. You have light activations, you have DNA activations, you have field activations, you have gifts, skills, and talents activations. Simply because of what? Why do you get activations? Why do you think your body goes through an activation? Why do you think your cells, your memories, the memories within your cells, why do your cells go through a memory activation? Why does your DNA go through an activation? How do your DNA get activated? Anybody? How does your DNA get activated? Light. Your DNA is only activated through light. How does your DNA get activated through light? By clearing and integrating your density, by making your density light. By how? Your 3 A's, alchemy. And how do you do that? By your 3 E's and your 4th E, which is evolution. You need to explore all that you are. You need to express all that you are, and you need to experience all that you are over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you know thyself. And that's why anybody standing before you, any group, any person, any mountain, any David and Goliath that stands before you and says, I will break you down until I can dominate you because your beliefs are not your beliefs. We want you to have our beliefs. And you stand and say, no, you can absolutely have your beliefs, but I know that I am backed up by the universe and I can be exactly who I am. I reclaim my power, I reclaim my light and my voice, and I can be exactly who I am. You will not twist and turn me, you will not dominate, you will not break me. I know who I am. I know thyself. I've done this a bajillion times, and you will not break me. And I will not bow to lesser. I choose to be who I am. I am built on light. I am built in the practice of light. I am built in the alliance of light because I practice it every day. I practice it every minute. And if you practice it, ain't nobody gonna throw you off because you know your shit. You can tell somebody when they're standing up on stage faking it. You cannot fake consciousness, people. You cannot fake it. Somebody that thinks that they can fake consciousness, you book an Ascension session with me, and you're going to bring to the table one of the things that you found a challenge to work through. And if I start asking you questions, and I start seeing into that issue that you're working through, and you're trying to transcend, you're trying to make it into light, you're trying to alchemize that issue, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And that series of questions will say how close you are ready to integrate that element or not. Are you just faking it, or do you truly want to heal? Because that's what healers do. Healers ask questions. Healers put the power back in your hands, and it will show you right then and there, before you leave the phone call, before you leave the session, before you leave the healing session. Am I really ready to heal this and integrate it? I absolutely want to be closer with God. I want to be closer with Source Creator. I want to be the highest version of Source that I can be. I'm going to heal this. God damn it, I'm going to heal this. Because I show you through the asking of questions, as Jesus and the Masters had said. A great teacher and a great master and a great healer will ask far more questions than they will ever answer. The answering is your job. You can't fake it, dear lighted ones. You step before me and you think you're faking your way through life, and you can take on other people's work, and you can cloak yourself for a minute or two in front of others and appear as if you're awakened and enlightened. And you can practice the light of speech, and you can practice to pretend that you're all light and you're all this and you're all that. I can ask you a few questions, and I can tell you exactly how much you're faking, and how much you're not willing to face, and how much you're not willing to do the work. But that's up to you to come to. That's your path. It's your sacredness. It's your part to go to God and say, I'd like you on my path, Source. I know that you're the only one that with me I can alchemize all of these things, because you are the higher self of me. I want you in my life, Spirit. I want to build a connection, and I want to build a relationship with you. But most people don't take the time because they're so busy focused on other people. They're focused on their cults and covens that they give power to, focused on the deities that they say they want power from, and they go sacrificing, and they live in worlds of crime activity. They live in the worlds of debauchery to try and find their sexual next jack-off, how they can get paid this and this and this. So much outer focus is on outer. And it's all being destroyed and ripped up and pulled away. And then what? There's 1,005 bajillion people running around with chickens with their heads cut off because they don't know who they are, and they don't know where to begin, and they don't know how to get anywhere healed. Because the leaders of the countries are not paying attention to what healing is, what light wisdoms are, and what the alliance with light is. And so people are walking around fragmented and broken and chaotic and distorted and in psychosis. And this is all about the fragmented soul. Because your soul is telling you in every trigger, will you heal me and look at who I am as an authentic, genuine person and human and spirit and soul? Can I be in love with this authentic version of me? That's your job, dear lighted ones. Every day, every hour, your job is to love yourself authentically and radically accept yourself authentically. Not trying to fake it and not trying to be somebody else. You will never, ever get to where you think you're going to go, ever. Ever in a billion fucking evers. You will never, ever get to where you think you're going to go by faking it and trying to be somebody else. Through cloaking, through dark occult, through magic, through manipulation, through veiling, through glamour, through jar, through mirror, whatever it is you want to call it, it doesn't matter what name it is. It's faking. You're not in alignment with you. You're in alignment with doing the tricks and the little veilings and the little illusions and the delusions. You're deluding yourself. If you're not facing yourself, you're deluding it. And that's fine. That's an experience too. You're going to get to a point which many are facing right now. It doesn't matter which way they turn. It doesn't matter what they try and do. It doesn't matter if they've come to the end of their spell book. It doesn't matter how many people they try and pay. The heavens and Source Creator will face you, face down on the ground. Face ground, and on the ground there will be a mirror. Just like you're looking into the beautiful glass essence of a lake. And that's why so many of these symbologies will always come back to you. And there you are at the edge of the lake, and you're looking into the lake, and all you see is you in that reflection. And it will always be there, and it will ripple out to the edges of the lake, and it will still ripple out into the land, and it will ripple out into all that is, because all there is ever you. All you're looking at is you. It's always you, it's always you, it's always you, it's always you. Even when you try and be somebody else and you have these magnificent operations to look like somebody else and these magnificent little terminologies you practice over and over and you try and clone to look like everybody else, there is a huge epidemic on our planet right now about cloning. Because everybody has no sense of self for the majority of these people that do it and want to look like people, and why there's so many people walking around that look like so many people. There's very rarely individuation in our reality, through which it's a healthy individuation. They say, this is who I'm going to be, and I'm authentic in this. I love myself through and through, and I do my ascension path work, and I can be individual. I want to be exactly who I am. I don't want an operation to look like everybody else. I don't want to look like anybody else. I never asked to look like anybody else. I want to look just like me. I want to feel good in who I am. I want to feel good in the skin. I want to feel good in the bones. I want to feel good in who I am. I am that I am. I am a representation of the heavens. My speech is unique. My stories are unique. My vibration is unique. I can come and I can go. I can call in my soul's vibrational family. And then my voice changes. My dialect changes. My experience changes. My excitement changes. I can show you a million different ways that I can change. I'm becoming soul infused, dear lighted ones. I get to. That's my love for me. If I need a version of me to come forward in its most masculine experience and say, no, I'm putting my foot down. You shall never take from me or rape me ever again. These are my goods. These are my deeds, and I've earned them. That's how I change creation, dear lighted ones, because my voice matters. And when I say something, it sticks. God knows that I've gone through the trenches. And God will only lift those that have done so and been so, and still get up every day whether you have nothing or not, and you're still speaking life into life. No, I matter. I am a God now. I've practiced it again and again. Join me not, I don't care. You can heal or you cannot heal. Still be fake and see what happens. Again, the infinity. Do it every day and see what happens. Take charge of your life, dear lighted ones. Prove it to yourself. No healer, leader, or master ever wants to hear anything proved to anybody. We teach and we offer information and truth. That's it, period. It's up to you to do the work. If you don't do the work, how important are you to yourself? Then you're proving it to you. You're showing your reality. I don't care anything about myself. I'm just going to float along and give my power away and maybe do a sacrifice here and there, maybe do more spell work. I'll maybe jerk myself around and I'll try and cheat myself around. I'll try and do this and do that. You're still not facing who you are, and you can keep doing that all you want. You're running yourself in a karmic cycle, karmic cycle, karmic cycle. You're meeting karmic people that just want to lie. You're meeting karmic people that don't care. You're meeting karmic jobs that don't care, that don't treat you well, and you're going to live in a karmic cycle. And the only way for you to get off that karmic cycle is by neutralizing all that you are and coming up with a higher entrainment of energy and behaviors and patterns and beliefs. This is how you heal. This is how you transcend groups of people throwing hate at you, groups of people throwing death at you, groups of people throwing poverty at you, groups of people sitting in little dark rooms with candles and jars and mirrors and magic and voodoo dolls and poking die, die, die. Because in every breath that I take, I am living, living, living. And no 3D person, no 4D person, no 12th dimensional being ever writes my path. I do. They do not have power in one quark. And that's why their magic will bounce back. And their magic will go directly to them because they need to look at what they are doing and what they are doing and sending it out, how they are doing it and what it means to them. The only way they can know this is by having it directly sent back. Every spell, every voodoo, every poke of the pin, every jar, every broken mirror, every dancing on a grave, every necromancy spell that you do, anything that you chant or glitter or prophesize in your own name, of others' names being on a piece of paper and adding them to a false marriage list, and all the deplorable, despicable things that have been done to the innocent victims that you haven't even told, because all you're doing is using and harvesting and manifesting off their energy and their name and their clout and their business and their ideas. There's still people waiting on the outside of my circle, and they've got so many inspiring ears and eyes wanting to know, what is she going to come up with next? Is she going to, how can we get to her ideas first? How can we beat her to her own ideas? How can we get in there? How can we get into her energy? God's marked you all off. You're not having any access for the rest of all creation. I have a bubble of protection that nobody will ever get in. And when you think you're having a vision of me or trying to talk to me or trying to get in my field, it's a scrambled message. Your teams are doing that too on purpose because you've abused the laws, you've abused the occult laws, you've abused spiritual laws, you've abused the Akashic laws, you've abused me coming on my videos for the last 4 years, every day saying, stop doing the magic, You're going to get karma. Stop doing the black magic and the voodoo and the sex magic and the sex orgies and the sex rituals. Stop defaming my name. Stop doing this and stop doing that. Here's what you're going to get. Here's your consequences. Here's what's coming back to you. Here's your consequences. Here's the life sentencing. Here's the 15 to life in prison. These are illegal things that you are doing, dear lighted ones. You cannot intently sabotage and take somebody out because you feel lack of who you are. And we've told you and we've shown you and we've spoon-fed you and we've led you to the water. But some of you are just so intent on staying in self-hate. And you refuse to let the ego go. You refuse to step into spirit because you've been so very confused. You've been so very disharmonized. You've become so very imbalanced. You become very emotionally and mentally sick and deranged because of what you practice. And you've taken yourself down this very dark path. It's your Pandora's box. Nobody's doing anything to you. It's you. It's your backfire of years and years and years of screwing people over. And the universe has said it had enough. You will face exactly what you're doing. You will get exactly all of your energy back. And how do you like me now? Because until you look at that version of you, that shadow of you, will you ever accept it and say, I honor my shadow. It's taught me so many great things. It's taught me compassion because I don't want to be living a life all alone. I actually want loving people in my life. Every single human on this planet wants to be loved and they deserve to be loved. And why you do what you do? Because you have a skewed sense of self and a skewed perspective and a skewed sense of psyche because of what you've seen, of what you've been through, of what you've experienced that has not been healed. Because you grew up in houses of dysfunction and inappropriateness. And until you start facing it, until you start going there and go there every time you can go there and go there deeper and go there wider. And until you go there and face it and cry it out and heal it out, then you will never ever know that self-radical acceptance that you need to become the master that you always have been. And this is where we take you, dear lighted ones, and why I can say what I say from other dimensions and other realms, and why I can see into the future, and why I can see the consequences of what you're doing right now. I'm a seer, I'm a conduit. These are my gifts, and I've earned them. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I state fact of what your psyche is and what your soul is. And if you want to transcend something, if you want to heal something, and if you want to bring those abuses in to make it part of your beautiful picture and painting of whatever your creative expression is that will allow you to be the very best version of you, the very best version that God had chosen. If you step into this highest version of you in this timeline, dear lighted ones, you will have all the gifts and the skills and the talents for you to be exactly who you've always dreamt and you wanted to be. And only you and God know that. Nobody else knows that, only you and God. Nobody knows your soul's blueprint but you and God. So don't ever allow anybody else outside of you saying, I know what your blueprint is. You can come to Akashic readers like myself and we can give you hints and we can activate you, but it's still between you and God to design that living document that is your soul's blueprint. And it will always be living. And no 3D person of a low vibrational color or coven can come in there and do a spell swapping magic on it and take your destiny of who you are that you've earned over 9,000 lifetimes. And they're only on 3,000 lifetime. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. Cults and covens and people all over the world and warped Masonic people. We're moving into a higher level of intelligence, dear lighted ones, and you've got maybe only 1/100th of the picture of what you've been told, and part of it's false. So how do you feel now? Does your ego want to take a bit of a break? Or are you still going to start stamping your feet on the floor and you're going to have your little mantrums and you're going to have your little playtime and you're going to try and do as much as you can because you've been shown that a man that doesn't have power and a man that doesn't have this and a man that's not practicing this and a man that's not practicing that, you're going to get violent, you're going to get this and you're going to get that, and you're going to get even in revenge. So then what does it do? And then what? So somebody's bringing you truth, and then what? So do you neutralize it? Take a deep breath. Bathe yourself in holy light. Visualize crystalline light that's crystalline clear, it's transparent, and it's bathing your fields. It's bathing your mental field. Your mental field needs to take a big break. Divine masculines, 3 times a day, take a break from your mental body. Take a break from your mental fields. Take a break. Your mental field has been overworked. Breathe in crystalline angelic light. Full body breath, your whole cavity lifts up. Breathe in light, breathe in light, breathe in light, breathe in light. Feel your feet grounded on the floor. And when we say grounded, see a rod that goes along your crystalline back. The light rod, the crystalline power of light. And it goes into the ground, and it goes into the ground, and it goes into the ground to the very base of Gaia. Breathe in light. And state with clarity and state with knowingness and state with self-design. I'm calling in light, divine holy ones. I'm calling in light, my teams and my ancestors and my angels. And I'm so very grateful to have you with me on my path. I'm so very grateful that you will allow me to assist in my healing, that you will allow me guidance in my highest and my best, that you will allow me the self-love that I need to see and know in every moment. And I'm new at this. Please be patient. I ask to seek the higher versions of myself, and I speak out loud because my cells need to hear my voice. My cells need to know that I'm in new commandmentship now, and I'm taking over this ship. Nobody's going to drive my health. Nobody's going to drive my awareness of who I am. It's me and only me and God. Ain't nobody taking over my ship. Ain't nobody going to take over my brain and give me different thoughts and try and make me gay and try and make me poly and try and make me all these things because they want me to fit in their story. And they want me to be a part of their MK Ultra weaponization program. Ain't nobody fucking with the part of me that I am me. I am me, I am me, I am me. My cells, my brain, my spirit, everything that I am full commandment. It is my design, it is my purpose that I am who I am. And my soul chooses. I get to choose who I am. That's my purpose, that's my destiny. Ain't nobody gonna talk me out of it, away from it, down from it, below it, and they're not gonna make me sit under their feet and under their thumb, and they're not gonna break me. I desire to be fully made, I desire to be fully whole. And that is my choosing of my spirit, and there ain't nothing more powerful. That's you and God. That's being godly. Who are you, dear lighted ones? What does power mean? Power means surrendering those things that your ego is going to bring you, breaking your wall, and breaking your wall. And your ego is going to keep breaking things until you get it. It ain't your ego that's driving this ship, dear lighted ones. And until you get that, you're going to go through a lot of loss. That's part of your soul's journey, so start accepting it. And the sooner you make peace with it, the sooner you're going to ascend into a place that feels a little bit more comfortable. Because you're going to accept that you're not going to know what to do all the time. And while we talked about vulnerability, that's true power, dear lighted ones. Every master will show you who they are in vulnerability. Because they can say and they can admit and they can be accountable for what they did to somebody that hurt them so very much. And they can be accountable for the monies that they had stolen. And they can be accountable for the infinite number of lies about the money that they said they didn't steal, that they actually did steal. Sending somebody else on a path of confusion and loss and tormenting distortions. But they didn't care about that, did they? All they cared about was playing with the money they stole. They didn't care about the lives that they distorted. They didn't care about the lives that were lost. They didn't care about the people that were sleeping outside under the rain and under the stars and under the wind and the torrid weather. They didn't care. They were just playing with the money. They were playing with their ego. And their puffy chests were sitting out proud and pimping. I got all my girls and I got all my families and I got all my illegitimate children I haven't claimed on my taxes. I'm feeling really big because I've been playing with everybody's money. Boy, I must be really proud of myself being all fake. Is that what you Masons do when you sit around? You figure out who you're going to scam and who you're going to pull into a new insurance scam. Who are you going to take out in a sacrifice? Who are you going to pay at the bank and who are you going to pay at the insurance or the wills or the funeral homes? Is that what you think about? And you think you're in God's favor? How many of you have lifted up a divine feminine to show her peace? How many of you have actually lifted up a divine feminine to say, hey, she's got something to say, let's share her work? Because you're not godly unless you do. Who said that being godly is to break people and to put them under your thumb and make sure they never get up until you say, yes, sir, yes, mesm, yes, mesm, yes, mesm, yes, mesm, I do whatever you say, mesm, yes, mesm, yes, master, yes, master, yes, master, can I bow? Can I kiss your ass now? Yes, master, yes, master. Is that the kind of life we want, dear lighted ones? Or can divine feminine stand up and bring a speech and bring a liturgy of light? Can she do that? Can she bring life to life? Can she speak new flowers that will just bloom next week and next year, next summer, next spring? Yes, I am. Take my take my take shin my take my eating my take shit my take my in the K. And why do we bring life to life, dear lighted ones? What is God? God is life. Life is God. And if you are aligned, and what is alignment? Remember we talked about it before. What's alignment? What's alignment? What's alignment? What's alignment? You should know this. Connection and relationship. In every moment you practice connection and relationship. Instead of practicing connection and relationship with dark deities that want to take people out and rip their limbs off and sacrifice them because you might get $1,000 from their insurance split between 50 people in your organized crime network because you feel all really great you're with a violent crime network. Well, good for you. Then what? Then what? That's going to go on your resume. Then what? Who's going to come looking for you? FBI, CIA, lots of alphabet letters? Is that your legacy? Is that your story of power? These are truths, dear lighted ones, is what's going on in our society. And those that placate, and those that say that they're this and they're that, and they're so fancy, and they're so this and they're so that. And they think that they can never be touched because they're so this and they're so that. And they pay people here and there. And there's an entire shadow government that runs in shadow businesses and shadow minions and shadow cults and shadow covens. And these 33 greed people that they think are very this and very that, and they're just shadow. Shadow, 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 shadow. Shadow, 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 shadow. They hide and they do things in secret. They think they're untouchable. They think nobody can see them. I can hear you and I can see you. I can see you. I know what you're doing. I know how many children you've touched today. I know how many children you want to traffic next week. I know who was in the room with you when you said, I want her gone, she's bad for business. What business is that? Pray tell. Pray tell. What business is that? If I am the Messiah, speaking life to life, what business is that, dear lighted ones? If I'm bad for business, what is that? Dissect it. What is it? And then what? We ask you again, then what? In your little trafficking hordes, and then what? In your sacrificing, and then what? Then what? Then what? Then what? There is your cycle. Karma, 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 karma. You will never get out of Epstein Earth, and you will be there forever and into eternity. You will never have a body. You will never incarnate ever again. These are quantum equations, dear lighted ones. I'm showing it to you and I'm dissecting it for you. In every word that you say, in every deed that you do, your karma never leaves you. Should be a song, shouldn't it? In every thought, word, and deed that you do, your karma never leaves you. It's going to be with you until you alchemize all your deeds that you have done in misbeliefs and misconceptions of who you are, of who you are, of who you are. Because you're not that at all. It's just a thing you went through because you thought that's who you are. That's not what you wanted to be. Because you're not, you're much better than that. Don't be like anyone, not even me. I've told you a million times, dear lighted ones, who are you? Make it a song and make it a dance and make it a play and make it a poetry, make it a new book. Write your stories, dear lighted ones. Your stories, like nobody else. Nobody else has a story like you. Nobody sees what you see. Nobody experiences what you experience. The perspective of you is vital, dear lighted ones. What's your perspective? You come to an Ascension session, what I will ask you, what is your perspective? What do you see? Do you see a light ship? What kind of light ship is it? What do you see? What do you feel? What do you know? Who are you? Get unique, dear lighted ones. Be authentic. Have these vibrational explorations and questions and themes and stories and conversations that take you somewhere else. Why not? Why be so boring and conformed and all you do is sit and chit-chat around somebody else's next sacrifice and be all mean girl clubs? Is that what you want? That's your legacy, is a mean girl club. And get your little group text and you just start, how much hate can you spread in an hour? Okay, well, how about you get healed and how about you start writing a book about you? That's how you heal things, dear lighted ones. Get real and face it. Who are you? And most of you on the line would have troubles expressing that right now. If this was a live class and each of you had the microphones and each of you had to spend a few minutes telling everybody who are you, you would say the same thing that everybody else says. I guarantee you. Give me a number here, delighted ones. Spirit, can you please give me a number? 97% of you, 97.888 would say the same thing. Why is that? Why? Why? Because you don't want to look weird when you have a bit of an intonation of a new sound or a new speaking or a new voice? When you get in your channel of spirit, when you get in your channel of self, when you get in your channel of who you are, when you get in your channel of being Christed, when you get in your channel of being soulful, when you get in your channel of being alien and celestial and all that fun stuff, and you can see and you can hear and you can do and you can be this, you can be all these things. Of course I can, why not? I love who I am. But you sit there and say, I'm Joe Brown. I was born in December and I was born on this day and I was born in a city, in a place, in a house and in a hospital. And I was born and I have a friend and you would all say the same thing. And I go to work from 9 to 5 and then I walk home the same way, and I drive there the same way, and I come back the same way, and then I have the group of people that I work with, and it's not really work, we just get together in silence and quiet, and then sometimes we get together and all we do is talk about other people and these people that we're going to take out and these people that we don't like, because sometimes they have a life and we don't, and we just like to talk about people because we don't know who we are, because we're not really well with ourselves, and we're not really in balance with ourselves, so we just talk about other people, and this is all we do. Okay, so now own it. And how about you heal it? You did a great job owning it. How about you heal it? Because all these things that you do are very important, dear lighted ones. So don't write them off as it's not important. It's all important. Because when you can own the darkest things of you, and when you can own that time where you were so drunk and you fell on the floor of your bathroom, and you bruised yourself so badly that there were contusions, and you ended up throwing up all over yourself. And when you own those moments, you're ready to heal. And why do you think I say what I say? So blatantly and so profoundly sometimes. Why? Because it brings forward a story or a trigger that must be faced and it must be looked at. We must face the underbelly of humanity. And how and why did we think it was so okay to be conformed, to be so negligent to our spirits? Never be negligent, dear lighted ones. You're profoundly perfect in spirit of all that you are. So begin acting that way and behaving this way, and let your ego go, because your ego will never take you through ascension. It does not know. Your ego doesn't know. Divine masculines, what is the definition of true power? And place your hands upon your divine sacred hearts, dear lighted ones. Feeling all goosebumpily. Love is true power, dear lighted ones. Because when you love yourself, you will be vulnerable enough to say, I made some horrible mistakes, and I did some horrible things. I'd like to learn how to be new. Can you forgive me? I'd like to make a repayment plan with you to pay back all the money that I've taken and I've stolen in illegal ways. And I'm being accountable for it because I want to redeem my soul. I'm sorry that I did not see you when you wanted to be seen. I'm sorry that I did not feel for you the way that you needed to be felt and touched and nourished as a soul and as a spirit of God. I'm sorry I did not believe you when you had said that you were someone important from the heavens and you had come to help people. And I laughed and I rolled my eyes and I thought it was nothing. I'm sorry when you said that you were this and you were that, and I didn't believe in you when I walked out the door, and I carried on with my life without giving you a moment of credit, or love, or understanding. And I'm sorry that when you said you needed someone, or when you said that you needed money or funds to rebuild your life because you were sleeping outside in the cold and in the rain, that nobody gave a fuck about who you were. But all you did was come forward and give light and understanding and wisdoms and intelligences for people that were going through pain and trauma. So that maybe one day they wake up and think and feel and want in that one moment that you face them, in that one moment that they go away, in that one moment before the head hits the pillow, that they make that choice intentionally with Source Creator. I'm going to heal, Source. Will you be with me on this ride? Because as a healer, that's all we care about. Is that alchemic moment that you choose to be united and be aligned and be in alliance with light. Because it shows creation you care just that much to redefine what power truly is. And it's not about anything that you've been taught or told or what you see and what you're shown. It's blasphemy to life. A divine masculine, to know what true power is to protect life at all costs. You protect life. You protect those in your home. You don't sell them to the underground. You don't do bidding pyramids where you're putting your children's mother on the chopping block because you want to grab a couple thousand for a vacation and hoping that someone's going to take your bid in the underground black web, bidding game and selling game and RICO gains. But little did you know that this person and that being that you want to sacrifice and you want to get a vacation with will never, ever, ever go into death or demise under somebody else's hand. This person has been blocked and locked in as eternal. And you cannot and you will not And the Divine Father has a trillion legions of angelics that will stand in and around and beside and through her until you all get it. That true power is knowing of thine word. That in thine word is godly. And there will be those placed before you, dear lighted ones, that in their word and in their breath, creation comes to life. Because why? They've seen more death than you can ever imagine. And they've navigated their way through and in and around it. And it's only to God and that being to ever know. Be so lucky that such beings are placed before you. That means you have guides and spirits that are looking out for you, and they want you to wake up so that you don't waste another lifetime in your ego and in your blasphemy of life, in your misguidances and your misunderstandings of God. And who said, dear lighted ones, and does this sound logical? In all of creation, in the billions of universes and billions and trillions of bajillions of life, there's no number. Does it sound logical? That Source Creator would ever want you to come back and create the same thing over and over and over again, so that every day looks the same and every hour looks the same and every karmic pattern looks the same and every spell looks the same and every return looks the same. Does that sound logical? Does that sound like creation? Ion? What does ion mean, dear lighted ones? What does create mean? Are you a creator or are you a destroyer? What are you? What's true power, dear lighted ones? Does it take true power to destroy? Quantumly, it doesn't at all. There's no power in it whatsoever. It takes far more power to create, to navigate choice, to navigate energy, to navigate, how do I feel now? Let's create this. Ideas, inspirations. That's why people are pocket watching, and that's why bajillions stand in my circle, wondering what's coming up next. Because I'm tapped in. All dimensions, all realms. A flicker of energy can just inspire me. A new song, a new writing, a new poem, a new part of me has just come to life. I get that. That's my commandmentship. That's being aligned. I teach that. I offer that, dear lighted ones. Is that true power? Of course it is. Claim it. Breathe in. Aisha makai te ke la te ke nama a te ke she nama a te ke se sia maka te ke she sia ma a te she nama kata te ke nama kata te ke she nama kata te ke nama kata te ke nama kata te ke nama a e te ke she nama kata te ke na a e se nama kata ma a e a na e se nama ka a e Eshanama Ekezia Shi Tamakatakia Teama Katakesia She Tekenama Teama Katake Tekea Daka Maa Shi Tekama Si inama ki te ke she nana kata ke a mama ate ke she nana kai ma e te ke a. E na kata ke she ana makata ke te ke na makata te ke she na makata te ke na makata te ke na makata ke she na makata te ke na mana te ke na ma e ma te ke she ana kata ka a ma a e te ke e a ma a. In the makata keshi and the makata takiyama. te amamaka, a te ke nanaka, ta te ke she nanaka, ama a, te e a. Ground, 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 ground. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Gaia. Thank you, Holy Gaia. Thank you, Holy Gaia. Got goosebumps everywhere. That was awesome. I felt so good. When you're fully in harmony of who you are, and you're in your full alignment of your light language and your full celestial and your full soul and your full cosmic aspects of who you are, and you're fully in alignment of just being you. And it doesn't matter what's going on outside. It doesn't matter when anything was going on outside. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're fully in alignment of source. You take yourself to new versions of elements of quantumness. And that's why people like to meditate so much, because it's like being high. Except instead of being high and damaging your body and putting poisons in your body, all you're doing is going to your higher consciousness. And you're tapped into a level of frequency that most people get to when they channel. There's lots of information on this about the quantum states that you reach in your consciousness that is done through the studies of channeling. Daryl Anka that channels Bashar has done a study, and there is an episode on the Gaia channel, and talks about the states of the mind and the brain and how you reach these states of ecstasy. And when those are in those states of ecstasy, when you've reached a beautiful harmonization, a meshment with spirit, it's ecstasy. You don't need to drink, you don't need drugs, you don't need anything outside of you. You just harmonize with spirit. There's nothing better. And it brings your cells into youthfulness. And why those that channel, and those that are harmonized with spirit, and those that are in entanglement with spirit, in love and joy, just because it's so good to be who we are, you end up looking and feeling younger and more youthful. You're literally taking years off when you are aligned with spirit. Literally. It's proven. Go watch the channels. Go watch the episodes of research. Go watch them. Go watch them do your research. Prove to yourself how intelligent you are, delighted ones. I just offer information. Go prove it to yourself. If you are that important, if you choose to be self-designing, look into these things. What is the highest states of consciousness, delighted ones? You being in love with you. How hard is that? For most of us on the planet, it's been a very challenging job to radically accept yourself, no matter what others say about you, no matter how many people try and kill you, no matter how many people try and take you out with their spells of death and their hexes, and try to shut off your throat chakra as if it didn't matter, when your voice can bring flowers that have never been breathed before on this planet, when you can heal through sounds and through clicks and ticks. But they don't need to know that. You're the healer. They don't need to know how many quantum tribal lifetimes you've had as a shaman, in which you've healed millions across all dimensions, let alone even a planet or a city or a tribe. Because you're quantum. Dear lighted ones, we're going to give you this beautiful story because it's just so fun to tell. Hi. I love spirit. Feels so good to be in my soul. I had this beautiful client this one time. And this client brought in a beautiful new being that I'd never been in touch with before. Of course, I knew it in my higher states, but of this being with, this is why I love doing my sessions. This is why I love being in front of people, because it activates me. It activates all those aspects of my soul I didn't know were there. This is why we say doing the path work. And you have to pull those packets of information, those packets of codes. And when we say unpack it, there's so much in your field, and there's so much in your memory. There's so much in your third eye. There's so much in your chakras. There is so much in and of you and around you. You never need to go to anything outside of you. You just unpack what is already there. Unpack it. There are beings, there are celestials, there's aspects of yourself that when you awaken, whew, my gosh, you're becoming a new whole version of you. You're becoming a whole new soul. You can write 3 books. Boom, 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 boom. That's called being aligned, dear light. That's tapped in with who you are. Doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. You are you. This is why I love being a conduit, because when God places somebody before me, I get activated too. And this beautiful client came to me this day and was talking about the challenges this being had had at work, because it wanted to be more expressive in itself. It didn't want to feel like it was hiding itself. It wanted to talk about the things it wanted to talk about in front of all the other coworkers, and didn't want to be shamed, and didn't want to be blasphemed, didn't want to be ostracized for it. It felt so excited to talk about celestials. It felt so excited to talk about the light ship it saw last night. But this person felt that in the environment it wasn't safe, that they would be tricked and fooled, and they would be made fun of. So we talked about this and we worked through it. And at the end of the session, there was a beautiful meditation that I had, and there was a being that came through the very first time that I'd ever talked to these beings. Of course, they're always in my field, but I didn't talk to them. I hadn't tapped in with them yet until that person sat before me and opened up that pathway. We went there. We went there in that session. We went to places none had ever been before on this planet. That's why I found it so weird and strange. I said, why are you approaching me? I've never heard of you before. I mean, I knew of the planet. I've heard the planet, of course. It's Pluto. Pluto's way out there. What are you coming to me? You're way out there. I said, no, I'm here, Joanna. That time I was called Joanna. This beautiful session that I'd had. And I felt really wonderful. I felt, wow, we made strides today. I felt really great about that session. I had no idea about what had happened in that session quantumly. I did not know quantumly. I did not know the aspects of sparks that it had touched on the way through of all creation. One client, one experience, one healing session, one. And this is why people think it's strange. Oh, she's talking poppy smack. She's talking this, she's talking that. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's crazy. One person, one healing session, and we affected all creation. And you can take this up with God, and you can take this up with every channeler on the planet. It is true. And that being from Pluto, as far away as Pluto is you think it's so far in our A to Z and our linear thinking, and that Plutonian felt exactly what we did in that healing session. And I said, why? Why did you feel what we did? How did you know what I did? He said, we felt a ripple of light somehow and somewhere. The spark of wherever your location was, we wanted to find it. Something had happened that day. We had felt different, and it had been a spark from your planet that we'd never felt before, because your planet rarely reaches out to us. Because you're seemingly believing that we are so far away from you. Your perspectives are so small in that way. Just because we are a small planet way out where, and it's like a dwarf planet that you think, but it's a real planet. And in the 6th dimension, there are many beings on that planet. There's a beautiful being that is now in my tribe, that now walks with me in all the ways that I ask. And just one moment, I can call that being's name, and I can say, are you there? And they say, yes, Joanna, I'm here. Doesn't matter how far away it might be or seem. That's consciousness. That's being quantum. That's being godly. But in your mind, you look at your books and you do in your measurements. Well, that's Pluto. That's like a bajillion miles away. It's like a different time zones. It doesn't have time zones, dear lighted ones. It's now. My soul is now. And I want to act strange. I want to act weird. I want to act awkward. It's who I am. I'm cosmic on every level. I want to wake you up. That one healing session, dear lighted ones, sent a quantum spark. That one little aspect of light changed all of creation. And the beings thought and felt and sensed, wow, something just came through the planet. Did you see that ripple of something? They felt something they had never felt before. Dear lighted ones, what was that? Connection. Because we were so aligned, all I wanted for that client was for that client to feel better and to be its very best and to accept itself wherever it was. And my open heart of being love and doing what I do with energy in that day was just enough to open for that being to be fully changed in its DNA and its activation, because that being was connected to the planet Pluto. And because I'm from the Pleiades, I was also connected to Pluto, but not in the way that this being was. And that activated a soul family with that being. And forevermore, since that day, there was a planet and a portal that had opened because of that healing session. One session, one being, and all creation was changed. And then those that come so ignorant and say in their 3D minds and their 3D thoughts and their 3D books and Bibles and linear things that can't be changed, and that's not God. If within your heart, dear lighted ones, there is only one tiny little spark, and it's called a quark, and it's about as small as you can get, and even smaller now. And in that small little quark, and if that small little quark says, smaller than the seed of a mustard seed, because I love you and because you're my brethren, it is my hope that you waken within your godliness, that you see yourself as a representation of the heavens, and there are many heavens, there are infinite heavens, dear lighted ones, there are infinite heavens. And if your heart is so excited to be fully you, just be you. You don't have a permission to be anybody else, but you have permission to be fully you. And in your giving of your holiness, your divineness, your sacredness, your preciousness, your sacredness of being uniqueness and being your most genuineness. And if this is enough for you, dear lighted ones, can you say that's enough? Is it enough for me just to be me, Holy Spirit? Is it enough for me just to be me? That's what we talked about that day. Is it okay that you just be you and allow them whatever thoughts and perspectives that they have? Because it doesn't matter where you go, there may be always someone that doesn't believe you and doesn't want your perspective. Can that be okay? Can it be okay that you want to evolve now and become something new? Can you give yourself acceptance that it doesn't matter what planet you're from and where you're from and what genus you're from and what dimension you're from, and if you're going to express divine feminine, divine masculine, or trans or bi, it doesn't matter what you're going to express. But if you do so with responsibility and maturity, and you have that full power of being vulnerable, because we were both vulnerable at the same time, and our quirks at the very same time sent that ripple out at the very same time through a quantum leap of light, like a pulsar, it was met within the same moment. And that's godly, dear lighted ones, and nobody can be godly but God. That's how I know God. I see, I feel, I know, I sense, I am. God picks up that cork of that pure intention, and it's felt in Pluto right here, right now. And ain't nobody, when you're a healer, when you're a teacher, and when you're your leader, and when you've come into harmonization with God, and it's only you and God, because only God knows the work you do, God only knows the alchemy you do, God only knows those silent whispers where you say, today I'm going to change, God. Today I'm going to change, dear Lord. I'm not going to say as many swear words today. I'm going to bow to the insects today. I'm going to bow to all life. Today, Holy Spirit, please watch me. Nobody needs to watch me, but I just want you to watch me, Holy Spirit. That's enough. Because you're showing creation, you want to love creation, you want to love yourself in it a little bit more. Isn't that all that's important, is loving yourself inside creation? Because who can you be when you're loving yourself inside creation, dear lighted ones? You're going to be that true genius that steps up on that stage, because you're the only one that can craft what you can craft, and that's where you're meant to be. Because you can go into a work environment that's been so very toxic, and you can say something that needs to be said because it's meant to be said a long time ago. Stop being toxic, and stop talking about people, and stop getting your business in other people's business. How about you just be love? How about you just accept each other and get off your little hate chat rooms? How about you stop putting people down, and how about you stop being you? How about you stop trying to be like other people? How about you start trying to be you? How about you stop having operations to look like other people, and how about you just be you? Because when you're you and you really get it, and you really give yourself permission, that's alchemy. God will open up a whole new portal where you're just loved so much so that all creation is forever changed. That, my friends, is godly. And the quantum fields are changed forever. And there are ancient codes placed in your field. And while we do light language, because they're ancient codes from ancient tribes and ancient Lemurian and ancient Atlantean and from the Lyrians and from the Pleiadians, from the Andromedans, from the Cassiopeans, from all of these beings, and every tick and every sound and every mudra, they're singing your name. And I'm okay if you call me weird. I'd rather be weird than conform to watching people be abused and thinking that that's okay. It's not okay for children to be trafficked. It's not okay for children to be beat on. It's not okay for children to be sexualized and to be sold. My dear, how far away from spirit have we got? Bring yourself into remembrance today, dear lighted ones. Wouldn't you rather be awkward and weird and be in exactly the skin you're meant to be in than destroying somebody's soul and spirit that they walk around craving drugs and alcohol because they've been so badly damaged and taken advantage of and raped and skinned of their essence of innocence? They've forgotten who they are as divine God's seed. And they spend the next 10 years being lost on the streets, going from person to person and drug to drug, trying to find out who they are because they had all their innocence raped from them. And these things will have to be healed. And who's going to heal them? Who's going to show them back to the way of their whole self? Synthetic drugs. Psychiatrists and psychologists that give them a drug, say it's okay, we'll get beyond it. Can we learn higher dimensional ways, dear lighted ones? Can we be higher vibrational? Can you know that when you say a word of love, it changes all creation? Do you know that the flowers and the birds and the trees have a song? And they hum and they vibrate songs of love from the planet grids? Did you know that water has a vibration, dear lighted ones? Did you know that the rivers have a vibration when it moves along the land? It changes. As the land moves its grids vibrations out and up and down and through, and the omnipresent breaths new light and new omnicorks within every human as they awaken, and the DNA activates, all creation is changed. So those that say we are crazy, you're sitting in a level of perspective that is ignorant, and you don't know God. And that's okay. Start there. Accept it as ignorance and move on. Because true power is the acceptance fully of who you are in every moment and saying, I got this. I want to know that there is God in all things, in all breath, and why my skin gets all chicken-like. There's so much God running through my body. I want to bow at the Holy Creator's feet and arms and trees and trunks and oceans and lands and insects and bugs and nature and wildlife. And every child that is ever born is to remind you of how godly you are and how dare we touch upon them. There is much needing for healing in our vibrational field, dear lighted ones, and it begins with you, each and every one of you, that choose to be who you are authentically, thought, word, and deed. And when you are aligned in connection and relationship, and you actually take time every day to be in connection, what will you create and manifest? Will you bring the voices of all of your soul forward? Will you bring the voice of your Pleiadian side forward? Will you bring the voice of your Arcturian side forward? Will you bring the voice of your Andromedan side forward? Will you bring the voice of the shamanic tribe forward? Will you bring the voice of when you were an African forward? Will you bring the voice forward of when you were a Jew? Will you bring the voice forward of when you were a Bahama? In the Bahamas, living in your little tribe, and you were the only one that knew what to do, but everybody called you crazy, but you saved a little girl that day. Nobody called you crazy after that, did they? Because some people just need proof. Why? Why do you need proof? Because you don't believe you're not connected. You don't practice being in relationship with God. If you can get shivers from your Bible when you read it, then you're in connection and alignment with Source Creator. Pay attention to your body. It will show you everything of how much source energy and how much spirit is running through you. Your body will show you in every moment. Does your tummy get all jittery? Does it get butterfly-like when you're talking about spirit? Do you get chicken skin when you talk about spirit? Do you get goosebumpers when you talk about spirit? Does your voice change and tickle when you talk about spirit? Do you get excited when you talk about spirit? Do you feel aligned in your heart space when you talk about spirit? Does your throat chakra and your solar plexus, does it all light up when you talk about spirit? You're sending life out to creation, delighted ones. That's why you have a multidimensional system and a toolkit that is Christed. We've taught it from day one. This is how you bring life to life. And what is God, dear lighted ones? God is life. God is all life. Anybody that hurts any aspect of life, therefore, thus then, you need to have an apology to that which you have hurt. It's still God. And God has your number. God will always have your number. God knows every word, every deed, every walk of life that you ever step forward on. God knows it. God knows every time that you smile. God knows that every time you forgive. God knows that every time you bring peace to the planet when it wasn't a day before, a minute before. And God knows that when you've opened your heart just enough in that healing session, you had no idea what was going to happen. But in that one perfect moment, you brought creation together and you built a bridge that has never been built before. And you did that just by being open and being you. Do you see what we're saying here, delighted ones? That's the whole gift of spirit. And spirit will never tell you these things, and spirit will never show you these things until after the fact. Because that is the beautiful part of the first rule and the law of the universe. Right use of free will and non-interference. Because when there is no interference, miracles happen. That's God. And then it's only later, through which you are told through channeling, through which you are told through spirit, through which you are told through a friend or another channeling session or a healing session down the road by an Akashic reader that says, something powerful happened that day. You built a bridge. Wow. You've got some pretty powerful healing gifts. How about you practice them? God has given you so many gifts within your DNA, and it's your only design. It's your immaculate design that is you. Stop paying attention to anybody else. What's you? Who are you? Bring that to life, dear lighted ones. That's your stage. Your DNA is your stage, dear lighted ones. Open the curtains every day. Who are you? Excellence from stage left, I'd say. Now, what do you say? Are y'all goosebumpily? Has spirit woken you up? Has Spirit woken you up? Put your comments in the comment fields, dear lighted ones. How many of you had goosebumpers through our call today? Yes or no? Make sure yourselves are listening and say it out loud. My body felt Spirit today. My body was aligned with Spirit today. I pray that in all moments from hereafter, I pay attention when Spirit's living through me. Spirit's living through me when I get goosebumpily. Spirit's living through me when I feel all butterflies. Spirit's living through me when I'm speaking pure, vulnerable truth. 100% truth. I'm not faking it. I'm not shadowing it. I'm not veiling it. I speak truth. Because truth clears who I am. Truth clears the way. And it might not be comfortable at times, and sometimes there's consequences. But guess what? You cleared the way. And you changed creation when you brought truth. So what's your legacy now, dear lighted ones? What's your story? Are you more comfortable in being you? Stop being a people pleaser. That's not your job title. It's not going to serve, and you keep going to go on karma and karma and karma and karma. Or you can change and heal and accept yourself for who you are and just be fully you. Because that's why you're here. You're on a spiritual journey, dear lighted ones. You're never going to get off it. It is an eternal journey with Source, if you so choose. And in this, dear lighted ones, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was beautiful. Good goosebumps everywhere. It felt so good. Felt so good. Felt so good. And this is how, when you're working with your spiritual gifts and your clairs and your talents and you're practicing every day, you should always, always, always feel more enlivened, feel more vibrant. When you're working with Spirit and your soul and all of your soul's energy and all of those beings that you channel come through you, you actually are actually stopping the aging process. It's true, it's proven. You can go look that up. I think Daryl Bashar talks about, or Daryl Anka, I keep calling him Daryl Bashar. Daryl Anka talks about that, the aging process. And when you're channeling, when you're in that channeling mode, you just feel so invigorated. I feel so invigorated. I feel so light and I feel so lively right now. So I love it when I channel. I feel so good. It feels so good in my body. So we wanted to say thank you, everybody, for being so unique and being so vibrant. And thank you for all those that are my clients that have brought me so many beautiful stories that I've been able to tap into. I've become a different person. I've become a different version of me. And I've allowed myself to explore all of the beautiful things we've been able to explore together through the 17 years that I've been an Ascension teacher and a vibrational teacher. Our energies in our collective are going to be coming more and more and more because there's going to be a lot of densities that are going to be pulled out, which means that the higher energies of our collective are going to be even more magnetic. So the refinement of the omnipresent light, the refinement of the omnipresent energy and codes is going to be more quick. So again, you're going to be manifesting quicker. So really be sure about what you're aligned in manifesting. What are your intentions when you're manifesting? Because it's going to come back to you faster. So please, please, please be very aware. Be very consciously aware, consciously awake of what you're manifesting, because it's going to come back faster and faster and faster. So always work out the 3 A's of alchemy, the 3 E's of your evolution of your soul. And if you practice those things every day, you will see your life become more aligned with Spirit, connected and in better relationship. Just intend it. I intend to have better connection and relationship with Spirit. I ask Spirit into my relationship today. Have relationship with your food. Your food relationship should be spiritual. The relationship with your lover should be spiritual. That's all it is. So when you intend these things, you're seeking it as the subconscious part of you. You're seeking those parts that need to be healed. That's why intention is so very powerful. Just intending it at the beginning of the day changes the energy of the quantumness in your field. Changes the quantumness of your cells, and say it out loud. Today I will intend better relationship and connection with all that is around me, with all that is source. That's being godly. And that's when you'll stop and help someone that needs to be stopped, whereas the week before, you wouldn't have helped them at all. You would have stepped on that instant, you would have broken that this, and you would have done that, and you would have done that. No, walking with intention is being godly. And it does take entrainment. There's no idea, and there's no competition, there's no gauge, and there's nothing that says you have to do it perfect the first time. So release your perfectionism. It's about getting to know you and being okay with those parts of you. When you say, I just like being awkward for a little bit, are you okay with that? When I channel, I get a little bit silly, are you okay with that? When I talk about celestials and aliens, are you okay with that? And then you start realizing who you really want to be around. Because why would you be around people that they don't accept you for any parts of who you are? So they just get to feed off you, and they get to have your ideas, and they get your money, and they get this, and this, and they pocket watch you, and they feel entitled, and they want this, and they want that, and they want this, and they want that, because you're on the upglow, and God's going to bless you, and they want to be a part of it, but they haven't done anything to lift you there, except abuse you, and you had to find your way out of it. They don't deserve a place at your table, dear lighted ones, and you have to say no. There are those you're going to build bridges with, and there are those you're going to say, please move on. Your energy hurts me. Because you were never there when I needed to be lifted. You were never there when I needed the funds, when I was losing my financial life right out from underneath me. And all you did was laugh and party and take more and take more and take more, while I sat suffering for 8 years. And I've been the same person I was when I made my first radio episode. The same being. I'm more experienced. I'm more soul evolved. I'm more loving in who I am. I don't take crap from other people. I'm not a people pleaser anymore. I've changed. I've evolved. I've evolved beyond those people from Calgary and the cults that have hurt me so very much. It's just an expression in time, and I send them love and I send them light and goodwill. They will not touch my soul, and we will have no further co-creations. That was their choice in sending hate and death magic at me and sacrifices at me every day. And poverty spells and jar spells, however many countless spells. I think it's up to past 2,000 now. Can you imagine one person throughout their whole life being spellcasted to the amount of 2,000? 2,000 spells and curses and hexes and voodoo and root work and blood work. My goodness, the intentions on my life. I must be pretty important to have all these people trying to take me out, trying to make me change, trying to make me stop and shut up. Must be so important. Am I not just a version of you, dear lighted ones? See, I get that. I'm just a version of you. Isn't that nice? What bridges can you build? Or will you want to keep thinking that power is to destroy and take and rape and steal and stalk and bid and bet and sell? You might want to look that over, because there's not too many chances left to be a part of this 3D, ascending into 5D, and your eternal life is on the line. It is as simple as that, and these are just truths. And it's okay if you don't believe me. It's not my job to work on your beliefs. I got enough to do just in being happy in who I am. I came forward in my life story to just be me. And every day I got up, I said, I'm just going to be me. I know I'm meant to be something in this place, and I'm meant to be accepted by maybe even just a few. But it doesn't matter, because I know I'm going to go to bed every night knowing that I did my best, and I know that I make a difference. And even if it's 1 or 2 people I heal a year, they're going to be the best healings God will ever give me. Because it's not about quantity, and it's not about competition. It's not about power over others or domination or breaking. It is about unity and oneness, because you're going to come back and you're going to be the Jew, and you're going to be the black, and you're going to be whatever it is you've called and you've deemed and you've damned and you've named. You better bet you will, because that's evolution, and that's how you evolve beyond what you were yesterday. Are you going to evolve, dear lighted ones? You're still going to discriminate and judge and bigot and defame and blasphemy. And then you see where your soul sits when you do. You're going to sit in the same karmic pattern with the same karma coming right back at you. We love you, dear lighted ones. Bye.
Hey, excuse me.
Huh?